Business items. Next item on the list is Lakeside Plat 25 and 26, preliminary plat. Give it to the applicant.
All right, the blue circle indicates that the project is in the southern portion of the city.
Your mic on, Sarah?
I just turned it on.
Doesn't seem to be.
No, that'd be kind of gross.
Can you just sit down a bit?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, here, I'll sit down. Okay.
The men all have, annoying loud voices.
Okay. Is that better?
Not really.
That's still, no, it doesn't sound like it's on.
Well, it's not going through the speakers.
That's not going.
Yeah, I don't think it's,
You know why?
Yeah, ours aren't going.
Something on the dial down below.
did we,
She screwed it all up. Ruined the whole system.
Yeah, because we're not going.
We're not either. All the mics are on.
yeah, I don't think
No,
it's
that's me.
Test. Our mics aren't working either, though.
Going through the system.
Test. Test.
go.
Test.
Set it.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, there you go. In your mouth.
You need...
Okay.
Okay.
I'm ready to present. So Lakeside 25 and 26 in the Saratoga, the south end of the Saratoga Springs development. So here you go. Here is a map of, so 27 has already been approved and quite a bit of it constructed, if not all of it. 25 and 26 are what we're looking at. And then this red line here indicates the boundary for Plat 26. So Plat 25 is this area here. And then 26 includes the remainder of the Lakeshore Trail that's required with this development. Here's a close-up of Plat 25. The minimum lot size is 7,000 square feet. That was approved with the Lakeside MDA. And then here is the first page of Plat 26, and as I mentioned, the shoreline and the trail are included within this plat, and the applicant can address this. They're working on their approvals with the state and are nearing the point where they can get permits to construct that portion of the trail. And then here's the remainder of the portion of Plat 26. Here's an open space diagram. So the open space areas that you see within these phases will be constructed with Plat 26. Plat 25 doesn't have any open space as it's all being completed with Plat 26. And then you'll also see an off-site trail here, which is an obligation of the development agreement and also of these particular phases. They have bonded for this section, and as I mentioned, are awaiting approvals from the state. Here are the landscape plans. There's a play area proposed, and a bird watching tower as required by the MDA and an agreement between Sovereign Lands and this landowner, I believe. We have close-ups of those areas, so you have a platform for bird watching and then a restroom. The restroom is the southern building. And then here's an elevation of the proposed playground, and then down in the lower corner, the bird watching platform with a 3-foot rail fence around it. Here are the proposed restrooms with a brick exterior. And there are also some variations being requested. So let me go back to this plan here. The variations are related to setbacks. There are some requests for variations for side, front and rear setbacks that were approved with Plat 27, and they would like to continue those same setbacks in Plat 25 and 26. There's also a request that would apply to all three phases, and that's related to fencing. There's a requirement in the code for fencing between lots and open space. In this case, open space would be the golf course, the Redwood Road Trail, and the Lakeshore Trail. So they're not requesting a variation for fencing along with the Redwood Road Trail, however, they are requesting that variation for lots that abut the golf course and lots that abut the Lakeshore Trail. There's an email included from the HOA supporting this request that their CCNRs also recommend against fencing in these locations. However, the Planning Commission discussed this, and because of some encroachment issues on other properties in this development along the lake shore, the Planning Commission recommended a semi-private fence between the property lines that the lots that abut the lake shore and the open space along that trail corridor. It's not progressing, just I think I'm too far away, but I have it because I couldn't find the, okay. Okay, so there is one flag lot in here which required Planning Commission approval. The final plats will be required City Council approval since this is in a PUD. The setback variations are outlined here in the conditions. And then the fencing variation indicates the developer shall install semi-private fencing between lots and the Lakeshore Trail, and fencing shall not be required between the back of lots and the golf course for all three plats, and that's up to the City Council, of course. And then there are some requirements related to the landscape plans that need to be addressed.
Okay.
Disclosure.
Yep, we'll start with Councilman McComber.
I request to do it first because I just want to disclose on the record, I'm planning on still voting on this, but I do live in this neighborhood, and so I benefit not only from the development because of the various dues, the HOA dues. I just want to make sure that that's full disclosure, because then obviously more units that are in a development benefit the long-term costs and fees for me potentially. But I'm still planning on voting, and I just want that on the record. In terms of my concerns and questions, I really am fine with the conditions here on the fencing. Just for the council to make note, if you remember, we talked about this, I think, last time, the previous development. There are no real fences allowed between the golf course and the homes. Some, they're like wrought iron, and so to not make it required, I think, is very important. It needs to be optional for the homeowner, because some people don't want to put or have to have a wrought iron fence between them and the golf course. I personally will never put in a wrought iron fence between me and being on the golf course, because I live in the plat that has that same condition. So I think that we as a council should honor that for consistency in the development. And then I appreciate the developer installing semi-private fences between lots and the Lakeshore Trail. And this is just for consistency purposes and safety purposes. So we've already agreed to that. So I'm fine with that. In terms of the landscape plans, evergreen trees being added, if we could just make sure, I don't know if we can make as part of the condition, but evergreens that will survive in the dirt down by the lake, which they really won't.
Our parks crews are really good.
So if you can work with them, because the dirt down by the lake sucks.
With Rick.
Like, I know very well, like, every one of my pine trees have died. And then also, just as part of that, what they need in terms of nutrients to keep them, because we just don't want a bunch of ugly blighted trees, right? You don't want it either. It's not going to help your development. So they know the nourishment that they need. I think that's iron that they're depleted, something. They'll work with you. If you can work with them, that would be great, because there's no point of having a bunch of dead trees. If you look on Fairway, all those dead pine trees. Okay. And then in terms of I don't see, isn't there a whole bunch of stuff about lot size?
Setbacks.
Setbacks, thank you. I see it there on 5. 20 to the living space and 25 to the garage. That seems fine. The sides, 5 and 8, total of 13. What's the rest of the area? Similar?
Plat 27's exactly what we're asking here, so.
So then I'm okay with that if it's consistent. 20 feet, no variation requested, and then the rear 15, is that consistent? I think that's mine. I think mine has a 15-foot setback. Okay, then I'm okay with those setback variations. Thank you.
Councilman Wilden?
I am also fine with the fencing variations. The HOA is supportive of that, and so I'm supportive of what's been stated on there. And as far as the setbacks, you know, those aren't always my favorite, but that is consistent with right next to. So, all my comments.
Councilman Porter?
I'm fine with it, so I don't have anything to add.
Okay. Councilwoman Varch?
Thanks. On the setback variations, I have no problem with that. It's very consistent with not just Plat 27, but also the rest of Lakeside development. That's consistent throughout there, so that fits in perfectly. As far as the fencing along the golf course, I'm fine with having no fencing there. We actually talked in one of our original meetings about the necessity of possibly having in some areas what I'm going to call golf fencing. I don't know what it's really called. I'm going to call it golf fencing, you know, where it catches the balls, the big nets with the poles.
That's usually required by the homeowner to provide that.
Really?
When you live on a golf course, you take that responsibility.
I had no idea either.
Yeah.
With such small widths, that's very odd, because usually
They
they're
take on
much
that
larger than that.
responsibility. I mean, there's already, I know of like 6 nets, then they put the net in, and their lot was cheaper because when they went to build it, because they knew that they were going to have to put in that. But it's, because some people would rather just put in the shatterproof windows and allow their house to get hit with golf balls than have a net, and so they have that choice. So I
Very
think that
good.
should probably be left at the homeowner.
Fair enough.
But that's typical of golf courses when
Okay.
you live on them.
Thank you. I appreciate that
The
information.
golfer is also responsible for where they hit their golf ball.
Yeah, but they never take responsibility. And you know
Yeah.
what they say? That's what
I've
they
been golfing with Mike. No, just kidding.
You know what they tell you? It's so funny. Like, you made the choice to live on a golf course, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to send my kid to play baseball in front of your house because kids can play baseball. And you chose to live in a neighborhood with kids. That's not a very good argument, but it's okay.
That's pretty funny. Yes. As far as fencing along the lakeshore, I was actually curious, because my recollection of this was that there wasn't any fencing along any of the lakeshore trail, and so I went and actually drove down there today, and I actually discovered that I'm going to say the majority of Lakeside actually has the wrought iron fencing along the Lakeshore Trail. And I don't know, I was going to ask staff, I don't remember if that was if that had been a requirement of Lakeside, or if that was just an option that they could do. And I don't remember when that was done.
it's done is because the developer shall install the fencing in the lots in the lakeshore.
Yeah. So,
Is it,
I don't know without looking into it.
okay.
I'm pretty sure we did it as a shall.
I think we might have, and my thought is actually, I mean, they could put a gate in it, you know, we've done that in other places where residents have been allowed to put a gate so they could access directly. But I happen to know of a couple of people who have found people wandering off the Lakeshore Trail onto their backyards and hanging out in their backyards because they're coming up. So it's not just a protection to keep people from creeping their gardens into the Lake Shore
People out
Trail
of their
area,
yard, too.
but it also keeps people out of their yard. So I'm actually okay with this, and it obviously would want to be the wrought iron to match the rest of the development, but I'm okay with it being the 3-foot or the 6-foot. I don't really care, as long as there's some delineation.
can I add one thing?
Please.
Please, sorry to
no,
interrupt
you're
you. There is a great separation of that trail in the backyards, and
Yes,
so
these people have a grade separation too. In fact, they've built a really nice stairway so they can get down.
they can get down. We're going to try to prohibit that and push them around so that
Yeah.
we don't have those people invited back in the back of somebody's private lot.
Yeah. Anyway, so personally, I would be okay with maintaining the shall in that particular location just for that. So I've changed a little bit there. We talked about that. And then as far as, let's see, just a heads up, remember the really nice bird tower that we saw originally, where it had like the stairs going up and it was a tower? It's not a tower. Apparently, it got put into the DA as a platform. So there is a grade separation, and it'll be level on one side, about 1.5 foot drop on the other side. and then the ground slopes off from there. It is not a tower. So it's not quite what we originally thought, and I don't know how that got switched in the DA, but it did. So just a heads up to all of us. Kind of interesting. It will give it better ADA accessibility, but
Is it even ADA?
it is. It actually will be, because it'll be flat.
To it?
Mhm.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so it actually will be. And then my two questions that I had were, first of all, the planning commission asked about sound attenuation for the pump house. Did we get that taken care of? Okay. And then my other question was, and I just totally blanked. I'll come back if I think about it. Yeah, I can't, yeah, I'll come back to it.
Okay, Councilman Podeska.
No, pretty much what the other councilman had said, that I have no problem with the variance because it's consistent with the rest of the project.
Are you talking about setbacks or fencing?
And the setbacks, same. And fences, I agree that if SSD is found a happy situation to not have fences, then they're the ones that have the experience in living with it. The encroachment, I was concerned too about encroachment, but with the level differences, differentiation, that should take care of most of it. Radar control Gatling gun will take care of the golf balls, and so no need for a net. So
That was funny.
I just wanted to comment that number 6, for the fencing between the lots on the lake shore, we didn't specify type, just semi-private. So if, I'm just pointing that out, that leaves, that this particular condition leaves it open for different types of fencing.
If I'm not mistaken, all of Lakeside has the wrought iron. I don't know if that's the HOA. I would assume we'd leave it to the HOA to
It
decide
is
what
the
they would
HOA
approve.
would be the wrought iron. That's why they had to put the wrought iron in. So I don't think we need to. The HOA has
They
the
would
rule.
have they would have the approval, right?
It's in the rules, yeah.
So just for clarification, I actually heard several different things on fencing along the Lakeshore Trail. I heard everybody say okay for the golf course, but I heard several different for.
I'm actually okay. I want the shall install semi-private fencing between lots and Lakeshore Trail. For me, I think it makes better neighbors because when you have that delineation, I get tired of getting the complaints from people saying that people are walking through their backyard when in reality they're on the trail. And this lets people know that that's not your property and everyone has the right to walk by and walk because it's not your backyard. It also is not for the current owner, but it's the owner 3 owners down the road because they don't realize
Where their backyard
where
is.
their backyard ends. So it makes for better neighbors.
I originally had some concerns, but when you said that most of the lots there already have it, that alleviated my concerns. I just didn't want to put a special requirement on him that isn't being met elsewhere, but if it's consistent with the rest of the neighborhood.
It's
then I think
consistent with
okay.
Lakeside, it's not with SSD, and SSD is regretting that they didn't do it when they started, because SSD predates the city.
Right.
So, yeah.
And for the record, I gave a thumbs up, so.
Just to give you a quick update with the trail that we're trying to connect, we had to go back to the Army Corps of Engineers and redo a cultural survey, which had been done already by the city, but they didn't accept it. We had to go do a new one.
They didn't accept.
They wouldn't accept yours because we're a different applicant, so they made us do another one. So that's the reason why this is being held up, is because the Army Corps asked us to do that. We finished it, turned it in, now we're waiting. So, and then the state can't issue the permit until they get
No,
clearance
that's just
from the Army Corps, so we're just
Agency.
in limbo a little bit, okay?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry that you're
Thinking
doing
bureaucratic agency.
Perfect, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the city council approve the preliminary plats for Lakeside 25 and 26, located approximately 25 and 2700 South Shorewood Drive, based on the findings, conditions listed below.
Second.
Accepting that they don't have to have fencing between the golf course.
It's actually written, it's actually how they wrote it.
Number 6.
It's actually written accurately.
Sweet,
It's over there.
okay,
I'll second that motion as stated originally.
sweet.
Okay, I have a first from Councilman Podeska, a second from Councilman McComber. Any further discussion on the motion on the table? Do a roll call. Councilman Porter?
Aye.
Wilden?
Aye.
McComber?
Aye.
Podeska?
Aye.
Barch?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, council.
Have a good evening.
The Army Corps.
They're a pleasure to work with. Okay, contract amendment for North Central Utah Water Conservancy District. Councilman McComber is requested to do this quick.
We'll be real quick. What this is a connection up near Boyd Brown's property from the Central Utah Water turnout up to Redwood Road to an existing line that we already have. We have a contractor that's doing the 18-inch water line along Redwood Road. They've given us a bid price for this that we think is a good deal. They're already mobilized to that site, and they'll be working in that area. Staff would recommend an approval of this, but it's up to you, and Jeremy, Gordon, or I would be happy to answer any other questions.
Entertain a motion.
Hey, I had one question. I'm sorry, I'm looking at these numbers.
I wanted this quick.
I know. Okay, so in C in the analysis, it actually says that Condi provided the lowest price, but if you look at the numbers that they gave us, they didn't actually give us the lowest price. I don't understand. They're at 22%
No.
instead of 20%.
It's just 22%.
It's a change order of their
change
total
order
contract.
percent, and their contract was so cheap before.
They each have different projects.
Right.
So this is relative to the percent change to that specific contract.
Okay.
To see how
That
many,
makes-
has the smallest
Because I'm looking at these
contract.
numbers going, that does not.
it's 22% of the 587, basically, it's saying.
Okay. reason we
And the
provided
20%
that
of the 16, okay.
It's just to reference back to city policy, when the change in contract exceeds 10% for their specific contract,
We have to.
and that has to go to council.
Because those numbers just didn't drive in that, and I was,
No, and I had the first thought when I saw it too, and then I
Yeah.
had to go back and relook at it.
okay, very good.
Perfect. Okay, entertaining a motion.
I move that we approve the contract amendment for the North Central Utah Water Conservancy District Connection Resolution R17-37 dated today to Condi for the change order of $128,989.89.
Second.
Okay, I have a first from Councilman McComber, a second from Councilman Porter. Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call. Barch.
Aye.
Podesta.
Aye.
McComber.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Wilden.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
And if it goes
Mayor.
to 90 cents, I'll pay the penny.
Number 7.
Oh, number 7. Sorry, Laura, I couldn't see you over the podium thing.
Because your chair's down.
So we're going to skip the second.
Yeah, we'll skip to 7 so we don't assume your evening.
You're the only one waiting on us, so.
And I think the young man here will appreciate this conversation more than the water line.
Who's,
We just make it quickly as.
We throw a wrench.
see, we tried to speed you up, but staff's slowing you down.
Mayor and council, as you know, there was a big change in the park location, moving it from kind of centered as an island in the church property down to 400 South, a change we were very excited about because we felt that was a better location for access, reduced offsite infrastructure, yada yada. So there was obviously significant changes to PEC's workload. They had already done significant efforts at the other side, including geotechnical survey, legal descriptions, and so obviously we were asking them to do a lot of work over, and that's what this is about. So I think Mark Edwards, who did the staff report, made a very good point, which is even after all these changes, they still are lower than the next lowest bid when we went out and did it originally. I think a great testament to the great services PEC's provided us, the great practices.
So a couple quick questions that I received on this from several people. This is not awarding the actual construction of the project. The project right now is slated to come in about $10.4 million. You've got to remember there's about $500,000 from Market Street and from 400 South that are funded in other areas that will be helping to fund that. So this does keep us under the 10 million number. If the bid happens to come in a little bit high, then we've set up the bids so that when we get those bids back, we could pick and choose those things that we would like to include in the park, maybe come back later if it's overbid. We've got conservative estimates, so it's right about that $10 million number, but, you know, we are very optimistic at a staff level, I won't speak for Lars, that it'll come in less than that. These changes are really, you know, for us getting this designed and out the door. We're very excited about it. Project's going to be ready to go here shortly, put out to bid, and then we'll be able to come back and test Lars' prognosticating abilities for bids.
I just have a comment. So, and I've talked to Lars about this, but I just want this on the record. I really want, when you send these out to bid, that people understand that there are some real concerns with some of the pricing that's required by the AJC and other things. I'm sorry that $365 a square foot for a building I think is asinine. The price for trees.
Colby Homes charges for custom mansions.
Yeah, my house, which is 8,400 square feet, I paid $85 a square foot. And I have really high-end finishes, 7 bathrooms, so I'm just saying. So I just $365 a square foot, well, let's not hire Magleby Home. My other thing is on the architectural construction, if we go out with this, that's fine. I would just want to point out to the council that building 1 and 2 on the architectural construction document fees, they're identical buildings, except the second building doesn't have the plumbing for the concession area. All it is a storage room. And then they're charging us $10,000 to basically give us the exact same plans, minus the more expensive things to design. My argument is maybe we just pay for one building design and then stub out the stuff so that down the road they can make it a concession. If a future council decides that they need 2 concession stands, they can. And put the $10,000 potentially towards stubbing out the stuff in the second building and then just using it as a storage room. I think it's, again, asinine to charge $10,000 for identical buildings. The upstairs are absolutely identical on the main floor. The only difference is the concession area. So just some thoughts, maybe if people have questions or clarification when this goes out to bid. Just wanted to point that on the record. Thanks.
One of the things I'd like to see, and we've done this in the past, is I'd really like to see some kind of incentive. So the sooner they get it done, then they can get a bonus. If they obviously are late, then they're going to get penalties, but some kind of an incentive, I think, would be.
So we need a pitch.
Especially where we're dealing, with this one, we're dealing with a timeline that's, if we miss the beginning of the baseball season, we've missed a year.
Exactly.
Yeah, so a carrot, I like that idea.
Put that in the documents going forward.
Oh, great.
Excellent.
Perfect. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the contract amendment for the sports complex with Professional Consulting Services, PEC, for additional design services, Resolution 17-42, dated today.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a first from Councilman
Do you need
Porter,
the
a
amount?
second from Councilwoman Barch. Any further discussion on the motion?
We're modifying it? No.
Okay, we'll do a roll call. Councilman Wilden,
Aye.
McComber,
Aye.
Podeska,
Aye.
Barch.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We have an interlocal cooperation agreement terminating the agreement creating the North Utah County Aquifer Association and dissolving the association. We're the last and final only member.
We're the last final member, please cancel this.
Okay, I will entertain a motion.
I'll move that we disapprove, how do we?
Thank you.
We approve the terminating the agreement creating the North Utah County Aquifer Association, dissolving the association, Resolution R17-38, dated today.
Second.
Okay, I have a first from Councilwoman Barch, second from Councilman Podeska. Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call, Councilwoman McComber.
Aye.
Podeska.
Aye.
Barch.
Aye.
Wilden.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Award of contract, sewer, IFFP, and IFA, update.
Mayor, Council, it's been a couple years, it's time to update it to include all the changes, all the changing parts. We recommend your approval this evening.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the award of contract for the sewer IFFP IFA update, Resolution R17-39, dated today.
Second.
I have a first from Councilwoman McComber, second from Councilwoman Barch. Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call, Councilwoman Barch.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Wilden.
Aye.
McComber.
Aye.
Podeska.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Award of contract for Inlet Park and Posey Lift Stations upgrade, Resolution R17-40.
Again, I think the pros and cons are outlined in the staff report. We'd happily answer any questions. This will buy us, a little over, 1,200 more connections for the foreseeable future. As we discussed earlier, the big issue in the sewer is shifting from lift stations to the gravity line. We'll be working on that as part of the IFFP coming forward, as you just approved. But for this, we would strongly recommend we install these pumps in the system and buy us some future. It's part of our long-term master plan. Thanks.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Just to clarify, these are upgrades to existing pumps, correct?
They're additional pumps within our existing system, yep.
All,
Adding pumps within the same,
Thank you.
Go ahead.
yeah. Good.
all right, I move we approve the award of contract Inlet Park and Posey Lift Station upgrades, Resolution R-1740 dated today.
We have a first from Councilman Wilden,
Second.
second from Councilwoman Barch. Any further discussion? Roll call, Porter.
Aye.
Wilden.
Aye.
McComber.
Aye.
Podeska.
Aye.
Barch.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. The acceptance of annexation petition for further consideration, Larry and Marilyn Allen, Resolution R-17-41.
Kimber?
Can we do all the annexations together? Or do we need to do them? Okay.
There are two separate resolutions, but you can do them both at once.
3.
Oh,
Three.
sorry, 3.
Okay, I will entertain a motion on 6, 8, and 9.
I move that we approve the annexation petitions listed in business items 6, 8, and 9 as stated on the agenda.
Okay, I have a first from Councilman Porter,
Second.
a second from Councilman Podeska. Any further discussion?
Just to clarify, you're not accepting them, but you're accepting them for further consideration.
For further consideration.
As stated on the agenda. Okay. Roll call, Porter.
Aye.
Wilden.
Aye.
McComber.
Aye.
Podeska.
Aye.
Barch.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously for 6, 8, and 9. Approval of the March minutes to, March 21st.
I just had, one thing, if you wanted to, I don't think we need to make it as part of the motion, but one of the 2017s was written 2107. So if you want to just do a quick search when you're cleaning up in this minutes, yeah. So I can't remember where it was. I saw it, it was 2107. Obviously, that's not the year yet. So.
And then on line, I think it was 305 maybe, Joe RV, the first 2 times his name is spelled with a capital E instead of a capital A on those 2. Those are just, it's ARAVE.
Just make sure the name is consistent with the A as the first letter.
Yes, and that was the only part that was wrong on those.
People's names.
Yeah.
As people take.
Yeah. He wouldn't because he's so laid back, but
I'm
yeah.
just going to give you a hard time because I'm missing on the roll call again.
Are you missing on the roll call? He's off the roll call again.
I'm not approving this, sir.
Yeah, it's. So anyways,
Likes you.
Want me to?
That's so funny.
Go ahead.
Mayor, are you?
so if we can add that as part of the motion.
That it?
I'll move,
I'll move.
I move that we approve the March 21st, 2017 minutes, including the submitted changes that have been posted, minor nitpicky errors that's been pointed out, and adding the mayor to roll call.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion, a first from Councilman Wilden.
I'll second.
I have a second from Councilwoman Barch. Any further discussion?
Don't include nitpicky errors.
Because those weren't actually on the motion.
Oh,
Because my 2107 wasn't on the motion, so, yeah.
Roll call, Barch.
Aye.
Podeska.
Aye.
McComber.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Wilden.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Mark, do we have need for closed session tonight? Okay. I will entertain a motion to enter into closed session.
So moved for the recorded reasons on the agenda.
Perfect.
Aye.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.